This week, Booby-trapped subtitles, digital watermarks get some thieves in trouble, Yahoobleed, that's right, troubles continue for Yahoo on the security front, phoning home is now a feature, according to this embedded device manufacturer, EternalRocks, as well as Jason Wood joining us for expert commentary on how U.S. politicians now think companies should be allowed to hack back after WannaCry. All that and more on this episode of Hack Naked News. This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show that brings you the security news each week. And despite popular belief, we do wear pants. It's Hack Naked News. Brought to you by IT Pro TV, an easy, entertaining approach to online IT training. Access over 2,000 hours of up-to-date, high-quality video content live and on demand for a free 7-day trial and 30% off the lifetime of your account. Visit itpro.tv/hacknaked and use the code HN30. Gain control of cyber risk with Tenable.io, the first vulnerability management platform built for today's elastic assets like cloud, containers, and web apps. Discover a fresh, asset-based approach that prioritizes vulnerabilities while seamlessly integrating into your environment. And improve ROI with the first elastic licensing approach based on assets, not IP addresses. Tenable.io delivers the data and context you need to secure your elastic attack surface. Start your free Tenable.io trial today by visiting Tenable.io. Welcome to Hack Naked News for May 23rd, 2017. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, reporting on some WannaCry-ish security news, but some non-other WannaCry-ish security news for this week. But first, an update from our sponsor, IT Pro TV, whose courses now include Apple Certified Support Professional, CompTIA Security Plus, and ITIL Planning, Protection, and Optimization. Premium annual memberships include all video content, as well as access to virtual labs and Q&A forums. You'd normally pay $85.70 a month or $857 per year, but for a limited time only, we have a special offer for our listeners and viewers. Get 30% off monthly memberships for the lifetime of your active subscription by visiting itpro.tv/hacknaked and using the discount code HN30. Check us out at Wild West Hackin' Fest, put together by Red Team specialists from Black Hills Information Security. Join us on October 27th and 28th for hands-on hardware hacking talks by the famous InfoSecers like Dave Kennedy, Deviant, Egypt, Chris Nickerson, Chris Gates, Mike Poor, Sub-T, and more. Check us out at wildwesthackinfest.com. That's HACKIN Fest.com. The Register had a very colorful title for this and dubbed it as "Freetards have been left wide open to malware fired from booby-trapped subtitles." They definitely take the cake for most flamboyant title on the information security news. Here's what really happened. Users of popular media players such as Kodi and Popcorn Time are warned that subtitles can be used as a vehicle to gain control of your computer system. Being a fan of foreign language films myself, I can totally see this playing out. There's many different sources of subtitles offered in various different languages and different subtitle formats. The media player's job is to parse all of this information, and anytime you have to parse something, you open yourself or your application up for accepting the wrong data from the user, and in this case, as is most cases, leads to remote code execution on your system. VLC and other projects have updated and patched, so best to check if you've got the latest version. Researchers from Checkpoint are credited with disclosing these flaws, but to my knowledge have not published any details yet. A digital watermark leads police straight to Bollywood pirates. That's right. More news on the entertainment front, as it seems folks will use many different methods to pirate a film, and the trend seems to be collecting a ransom to avoid your precious content from being leaked before it's scheduled to debut. In this case, however, the thieves were not so smart. As the article states, in most instances when movies are tracked in this manner, it's because a watermark identifying the location has been transferred to a CAM's copy. However, in this case, the original pirate copy had been made digitally. This meant that someone had managed to get a hold of the encryption key used to decrypt titles subject to digital distribution. While better quality than a CAM, however, this one landed the movie pirates in the can. So Yahoobleed flaw leaked private email attachments and credentials. Yahoo just can't catch a break. For years, Yahoo Mail has exposed a wealth of private user data because it failed to update widely used image processing software that contained critical vulnerabilities. That's according to a security researcher who warned that other popular services also likely to be leaking sensitive subscriber secrets. Chris Evans, the researcher who is credited in this story, reported this privately to Yahoo engineers and has dubbed it Yahoobleed because the vulnerabilities caused the site bleed content stored in server memory, like Heartbleed. The easy-to-exploit flaws resided in ImageMagick, an image processing library that's supported on basically every web platform, PHP, Ruby, Node.js, Python, and many others. One version of Yahoobleed was a result of Yahoo failing to install a critical patch released in January of 2015. A second Yahoobleed vulnerability was the result of a bug that ImageMagick developers fixed only after receiving a private report from Chris Evans. If you have ImageMagick, well, just don't have ImageMagick if you want security too, is my advice. Netgear fixes a router by adding some phone home features that record your IP and MAC address. Not telling users how you handle their data is a no-no, and this one was just exposed by a curious Netgear user who states that such data may include information regarding the router's running stats, number of devices connected to the router, types of connections, LAN, WAN status, Wi-Fi bands and channels, IP address and MAC address, serial number, and similar technical data about the use and functionality of the router, as well as its Wi-Fi network. Yep. The data is now sent as a result of a firmware update that fixes a vulnerability, shame on you, Netgear, on just so many accounts. In what I believe is sad news, FCC votes to overturn net neutrality rules. As predicted, net neutrality is on the chopping block and closer than ever before to being a thing of the past. It is open for public commentary, though that public commentary is run on a computer system on the internet, so it's overrun with bots. It happens. Please do comment if you're a human and have an opinion on this issue. EternalRocks worms spread 7 NSA SMB exploits. You got it. More worms based on the NSA's leaked exploits. Someone has stitched together 7 of the Windows SMB exploits leaked by the shadow brokers, creating a worm that is being spread through networks since at least the first week in May. Researcher Miroslav Stamper, a member of the Croatian government CERT, captured a sample of the worm last Wednesday in a Windows 7 honeypot that he runs and posted the report over the weekend on his GitHub page. The worm, which Stamper calls EternalRocks, currently has no payload and spreads in 2 stages over a 24-hour period. Also interesting are the statistics of infected machines with these vulnerabilities, specifically WannaCry, mostly pointing to Windows 7 is the winner by unanimous vote of being infected, not Windows XP. Happy patching, everyone. And now, expert commentary from Jason Wood of Paladin Security, who will be discussing how U.S. politicians think companies should be allowed to hack back after WannaCry. But first, a word from our sponsors. You have a website, an external presence, employees, an office? Any of these things can be compromised and attacked. How are you defending these assets? Have you penetration tested these public assets? Start 2017 by taking a proactive approach to securing your vulnerable areas. Black Hills Information Security has been helping companies find their weaknesses since 2008. Email consulting@blackhillsinfosec.com and see how they can help you sleep better at night. Has your network been breached? Cybereason can help you answer this question. Cybereason products hunt for threats within your network and eliminate them in real time. To Cybereason, real time means within seconds. Founded by former military hackers who don't play by the rules, they've built this experience into their platform. Harness ingenuity and imagination, not just code, to defeat attackers. Cybereason. Disrupt the adversary and let the hunt begin. Couple of more quick announcements. Anycon is not just Anycon. It's Anycon in Albany, New York on June 16th and 17th in the Albany Convention Center, featuring Capture the Flag competition, hardware hacking village, and a ping pong tournament, family-friendly environment, and all, in addition to Dave Kennedy or one of his clones delivering the keynote. Security Weekly will be there. Doug White will be conducting Hacker Movie Trivia, giving away t-shirts and Hacker Movie-themed glassware. Go to anycon.info/tickets. Use the discount code Paul to save $25 off your ticket. The SANS Pen Test Hackfest Summit call for presentations now open. Hosted by renowned SANS instructor and hacker Ed Scotus, they're looking for presentations on new attack techniques, remediation, challenges to existing security methodologies, and improving the business value of penetration testing. Send your submissions to pentestcfp at sans.org by 5 p.m. this Friday, May 26th, with the subject line, SANS Pen Test Hackfest Summit CFP 2017. The event will be held later in the year, November 13th through the 14th, at the Hyatt Regency in Bethesda, Maryland. Jason Wood is here with us. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul. How's it going?
I am doing fantastic, ready to talk about hacking back, because anytime there's a significant, well, most times there's a significant event going around, someone makes the headlines and says, well, we should just hack back, and probably doesn't understand the repercussions. I don't mean to steal your thunder, but that's just my take reading the headline.
And that was really my feeling on this as well. Honestly, when I saw this headline, it was originally by a blog post by Graham Cluley, who's titled that U.S. politicians think that companies should be allowed to hack back after WannaCry. And this is, like you said, this is not the first time that this idea has come up. We've heard about this quite a bit. And when they're talking about hacking back, I want to make clear they're not talking about active defense techniques. They're talking about breaking back into somebody who has theoretically caused you harm. And the bill currently under consideration, or being written rather, I should say, not under consideration, is being written by Tom Graves from Georgia and Kristen Sinema from Arizona. And the title of the bill is Active Cyber Defense Certainty, or ACDC.
Awesome.
I like the term ACDC. I'm not so certain about active cyber defense certainty.
For those about to hack back, we salute you.
That's right. So the theory behind this is that, hey, we're under attack by somebody. We should be able to go out and defend ourselves and get back at the person who is causing us damage. And as you have already alluded to, there are some problems with this. I think the idea behind this, and one of the basic mistakes people are making when they come up with this idea, is they look at the idea of, hey, in the real world, I'm allowed to defend myself. If somebody jumps me, I'm allowed to fight back, right? The problem is, on the internet, we're not in physical proximity. It's really clear who's jumping you, next to the store or something like that. It's not very clear when your network is going haywire, who's causing you grief. So one of the primary concerns everybody has is, hey, attribution is not as necessarily easy. How do I know that, this person I'm looking at attacking is actually the person who's causing me damage? And frankly, we don't know most of the time, particularly when you're in crisis mode. I mean, who has been in the middle of, some kind of major incident or virus outbreak inside of the organization and really spends a lot of time to go about and, hey, let's see where this came from and do some real analysis on this and try and trace back, where this is coming from. We don't do that. You're spending hours, 20-hour days, right, trying to recover systems and get things working again, and stop the hemorrhaging inside the organization.
Well, it's very clear. It's very clear that the U.S. legislators don't have much insight into this issue or spent time in the trenches. And if we look at this problem, for example, just in your own network, right? Like, let alone hacking back into someone else's network or anywhere on the internet. If you just look at the examples in your own network, what if, for example, there's a worm running around and I want to filter those IP addresses or MAC addresses? Even the notion of filtering, which isn't necessarily hacking back, right? But putting in a protective measure against what is attacking who has already been attacked is problematic, right? For a couple of reasons. One, if it's a mission critical system, it might need to live, and you got people calling you, and it's bad. Now, granted, with ransomware, it probably already is inoperable, and that's not the case. However, when you start filtering on the network, what if that was behind a device that has multiple IP addresses that are talking on your network, and now you've just killed a bunch of non-infected systems as well? So that's problematic. The other thing, even when we talk, like, even not even so much hacking back, right? But even if we would just talk about filtering at any level, let's say ISPs want to do some filtering, or you want to do some filtering to prevent other hosts from talking to each other inside your network or out, someone has to maintain those lists. So what happens when it's infected? I then revert to a snapshot, patch the vulnerability, get it back up online in about 20 minutes. And now I say, well, you have to unfilter me. Now I'm not a threat anymore, but I'm still filtered. And I definitely experienced that in the university when worms started first running around networks. Well, not first, but when there was really like a thing in 2003, right? And maintaining that list is very difficult, and it requires attentive staff that are not doing much else but managing filtering lists. So otherwise, you have legitimate users that now can't use the network. So that's just some of the dangers of not even going the full step of hacking back, but even just putting some measures in place that are similar to hacking back.
Right. And I think one of the things you kind of brushed up against in those comments is important to keep in mind too. You talked about the staff who's doing this filtering and managing all of this. Most organizations are employing blue teamers, right? They don't employ dedicated full-time red teams inside their organization. They may have folks who are interested in it, who do a little bit of it and whatnot. But primarily, we've got folks who have a skill set for defense. And you've got a CISO or CIO that comes in and says, okay, you guys over here, turn around and start hacking against, back against these guys and get us, who are getting us. You've got a group of folks who have just a totally different skill set. I mean, yeah, they're related, right? But they're different. And
not only that, Jason, you have to be mindful of the laws as well. While this law may pass, it's not going to, in my opinion, certainly. But let's just say it does become sort of a thing. Like, how does it play against CFAA? Now you need a lawyer involved to tell you what you can and cannot do, and someone skilled enough to be able to know the difference. And John Stren and I, and it was John that put this in our slides years ago when we were talking about active defense and hacking back. And he said, and he's from South Dakota, right? So there's a lot of miners that were in South Dakota back in the day, and they would set up these shacks near their mine, maybe with their supplies in it or whatever. And they would rig a shotgun on the other side of the door, so that when you open the door, the shotgun would just kill the person who opened the door. Setting traps like that in the real world is illegal. And I had some very colorful examples of people that were prosecuted under U.S. law for doing similar things. So when we put that in the digital world, wiping someone's hard drive that attacked you is never a good idea, because a lot of the issues that Jason and I talked about, a lot of the parallels into the real world law in the physical world, not digital world. And also, like you said in your notes, Jason, I think we touched on already, attribution is hard. And how do you know who you're hacking back? And that's really what a lot of it, the argument boils down to for it being a bad idea, that even if it were a good idea, you still wouldn't be 100% sure who you were hacking back.
Yeah, and there are restrictions that they're talking about built into this law. You wouldn't be able to legally wipe a hard drive of whoever it is you're attacking and things like that. You still have to have somebody who knows this, who has advice on what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. And again, all this is happening during a crisis. So we're going to screw things up. About the only upside I could come up with, kind of tongue in cheek, is, hey, all you pen testing firms out there, here's a new opportunity if this passed. We have IR services and we have hackback services.
Right.
But like I said, tongue in cheek, beyond that, this is, I think, is just nothing going to be nothing but problems if it were ever to pass. Lots of legal pits to fall into. I just don't think this is a good place for us to go.
Yeah, and it has been, so hacking back somewhat needs to be defined, right? But even if you're working in collaboration with your legal team and law enforcement, being able to collect information from a system that has broken into your organization, that has worked. And just to talk about the positive aspect of it, Jason, again, but that's in collaboration with your legal team, with law enforcement, and someone who understands the rules of engagement, so that that information is then admissible into a court of law. Even as the most recent example, even the FBI has run into problems, with that. And these are people trained in law enforcement in this. So this is a rat hole that, even while it may have a couple of things that are interesting in a positive light, just generally never a good idea. I don't see it taking off. I think deception technologies flirt with it a little bit, but that's a topic for, I think, another show, certainly.
Right. Yeah, and I can't see the limited benefits we've seen, the limited examples that are out there, really making this worthwhile. And even if it became law, I think you would find that very few organizations would even bother trying anyway.
Well, yeah, because the legal ramifications would be huge. If you're a corporation in the U.S. and, you're going to hack back into an organization in the EU who also has privacy laws, by the way, which you're likely violating if you're capturing information, even though they're suspected of committing a crime that violates CFA in the U.S. Like the rat hole just goes very deep with this whole thing.
Yeah. So, something to keep an eye on. I don't think it's going to end up going anywhere, like you said, but with the tight resourcing we have, the legal issues and the whole bit, even if they pass it, honestly, I can't see many organizations deciding this is something I want to get involved in.
Jason Wood, thank you very much for appearing on this episode of Hack Naked News. That concludes our program for today. See everyone next time.